So today we are here in my office talking about Portrait of a Lady on Fire with a special guest.
Hey everybody, my name is Amanda Borges. I don't know if I wanted to say something, but I'll just say about the club movie.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a film club named Mistakes. You can find us on Instagram at miss.takes.filmclub.
Amanda's a former. Did you graduate?
No.
No. Okay. Former student of mine
Yeah.
here at HCC.
Yeah.
And took directing class last semester, which was great. And you made some good stuff for that one.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And I always knew that Amanda loved really good movies, which is not common. Not all of my students watch actually good movies, so it is a balm to my heart when I have somebody who actually knows and watches really good freaking movies. So.
Yeah, that's an honor. Because, no, actually, when I got to film school, I wasn't like that, but then I guess it's,
really?
You build it, right?
I always felt like you came in with that knowledge. Did you start watching?
The first time I got into film school was in Brazil.
Oh, okay.
So there was that.
Yeah, so you've been in film school for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it was for me when I started. I only knew what the boys who watch movies recommended to me. I didn't know about anything good. So it took a long time to learn.
Yeah, you kind of built that.
Yeah, that's kind of like why I want to do this, because I feel like I had to search for movies, and had to go to film school and had to meet women and, interesting people and people of color and people who weren't, the traditional white film bro.
That's true. I had to take some like feminism classes to find those movies.
Yeah, like what?
Oh, Watermelon Woman, La Teta Asustada.
Milk of Sorrow. Is that
Lucretia? The Milk of Sorrow.
Oh, Claudia Llosa. I don't know this movie. Is it good?
Oh, it is. It is.
Cool.
Yeah, there's a lot to say about it.
There's so many good Latin American films made by female directors specifically.
Yes.
Yeah, like Lucrecia Martel, La Cienega.
Oh no, I don't know.
Sounds good. She made a movie called Sama a couple years ago. That was really good, about a man exploring a colonialism movie,
Oh my god, I should search it up.
Yeah, search it up.
Yeah, I love Latin America.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy recently about how women filmmakers in those countries are cherished and all. I was telling him that it was very interesting getting here in the US and because in Brazil in film school we were majority women in the class.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was crazy. It was a huge difference.
Wow. That's a dream. That's so different, because
it is.
I went to film school with a lot of Latin American women, and they just came in with so much confidence in their voice and a ton of female filmmakers that they knew and respected.
Yeah.
And it's not the way it is here. Every film class I took until I got to film school, I was the only girl.
Yeah, I've seen it happen here.
Yeah. It doesn't happen that much, but whenever I see it in a class, I teach a class and they see the one girl, I'm like, oh,
it's no.
It happens. Yeah.
No.
So that's so beautiful that there's this, well, I think the attitude about filmmaking and art is different there too. In America, it's a very capitalist, money making, big business endeavor.
Yes,
and in Latin America, it's not really like that, right?
Yeah, not really. It's when I started, it was a lot of us just reading essays and writing essays about movies instead of actually making them.
Oh, well.
Which is another, there's always something.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, there's the downside. Yeah. But still, just to know that you come from a tradition of women who've been doing this. It took me so long to understand that, for a long time, I thought there was just a few women filmmakers, and it took me so long to really learn. Yeah. First of all, we've been in the game since the beginning. Alice Guy from 1896 was one of the very first filmmakers.
And the editors?
Yes, women editors. We should, do you want to?
Oh, that most editors were women.
Yeah, most editors were women. In the Hollywood system, there were women, and it was because, especially it was wartime, World War I and World War II, the editing machines were sewing machines, so they thought that women had that skill to use the machines. And so women were the main editors, and to this day, we have some of the best editors in cinema history, Dee Dee Allen, and what's her name? Tarantino's editor. I just Googled Tarantino. giving me nothing.
I was making a face.
Yeah, that was the right face. Sally Menke. Yeah,
Okay,
she passed away in 2010, but she was really, really good.
Yeah. No,
Yeah. But yeah, so like we've been in this from the beginning, and of course, because women historically throughout time are like the story keepers. We keep the hearth and the story of the family and the story of the past generations, and so it never made sense to me why directing and filmmaking was considered like this masculine endeavor.
Yeah.
Like drag, like the whole thing is drag.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
It's like men doing drag.
Yeah, but you know what? We can kind of tie that conversation with Portrait of a Lady.
Okay.
Because she's also she is an artist at a time when there was that like the male painters, they were more recognized. Yes. And we have forgotten a lot of like the female artists from that period. Yeah. I think like Artemisia was the only one that like really made her name. Yes. Which is crazy because I think there were so many. Yes. Yes. So.
I know, so we're talking today about Portrait of a Lady on Fire, which is such a good movie, but one of the main characters is a female painter, and I love that it shows something that like I never would have thought of, but watching it I realized was real, was that women were painting, they were putting their, even like at the end when she says, I had to put this in a gallery under my father's name. Yes. But she was still showing, and she was lucky, I guess, because her father was a painter. So she was already kind of like in that world. Yeah. But like, I love in the beginning and the end, she's teaching a class of girls who are learning art. Yeah. And like to think that that was actually happening, and like what she was saying about the figure drawing, that they didn't let the women in to watch, to draw nude men. And that kept them out of the great subjects, because if they can't understand male anatomy, they can't paint the great subjects. And so she's doing it in secret.
Yeah, which is like awesome.
I love that.
Because like it shows her like agency.
Oh yeah, agency is such a thing about this lady, and freedom.
Yes, it is like the choices they're making, like how they're resisting to the system.
Yes, I love it because it's such a movie about like women who are free in their mind and heart if they're not free in the system around them. But it's like a vision of the past that is so not what I won't say like a male artist couldn't do it, but certainly like a male artist who grew up in like a patriarchal system and never questioned it could never have the imagination to realize that women like were always resisting in small ways. And there's so many examples of it. Like I love that Heloise's character, like she's resisting the marriage just on the principle that she has no choice in it. She doesn't, it's not like in some movies, like especially American movies, where like the girl has to go off and marry somebody she doesn't want to. She was like, he's old and ugly, he's fat and I don't want to marry him, and that's why. But she's not like, it's not about the man. It's about the fact that she doesn't have the choice, and that's why she doesn't want to do it. Yeah. Which I love. Yeah. She just like,
her way of
I'm going to be free.
Refusing to pose.
Refusing to consent. And so consent, I think, is a big theme of this movie too, because in the beginning, Marianne paints her without her consent. And
that was crazy.
Yeah, which is really sexy, but interesting. Yeah. And then, and the painting isn't good, and she has to destroy it. And then when she paints her with her consent, it's beautiful. Yes. So there's something about that, like the collaboration too of the subject, like the subject giving willing consent in a piece of art, making that a co-creation rather than taking someone's image and reproducing it and trying to use it for something,
Yeah, for sure. Actually, talking about that, I was gonna ask you if you saw the movie Beautiful Troublemaker.
No.
But it's also like it's a guy. It's a guy painting a nude model.
Okay.
And it's got some like similar themes.
Oh, it's a French.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also very good, but it's like 4.5 hours or something. But you just have to watch it. It's like it's such a beautiful movie, and it's got like a similar premise.
Okay.
Like in the end, she's like taking over what we think it's like the powerless situation of like being the object.
The subject, the object, yeah, like where she starts to actively participate in the creation. Yeah, I love that, and I would love to see this movie, and that's what happens in the end. Like I was noticing watching it last night, like how the in the end, like the both of them are putting the finishing touches on the painting.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Yeah, because they've become like they've meshed in terms of their vision for this painting. Like it's no longer like Marianne, the artist, imposing her vision of Heloise on her. Because of course, there's that scene. The scene that is like one of the best scenes in the movie when she's painting her, when she's consented, and she's like observing her. You're gonna know what I'm talking about in 1 second. And she's like, when you're annoyed, you push your hair behind your
ear. Oh my god, yeah, we have to talk about that.
It's so good. I mean, so many times in my notes, I was like, this is the best scene in the movie. And then I was like, no, this is the best scene in the movie. But that is one of the best scenes in the movie.
No, for sure. And everybody talks a lot about it because it's like, I feel like it's the theme that she's articulating. Like, the theme for the whole movie, which is that, you know, the gaze thing.
Yeah.
And the gaze. Like, the power.
The gaze. The gaze, yeah.
So a lot of people were talking about how it just shows that they're becoming equal in that scene.
Yes,
and I wanted to talk to you about it, actually. Because of, like, you know, having had directing class with you. And the way it is articulated, it's like they're very equal and they don't kiss in that scene, but the tension is like everywhere.
Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you if you thought that they were actually equal or if someone is winning something. Because I feel like in the end we focus a lot on Heloise and everybody's saying like, oh, see, this is like power is not present here. But then I'm like, no, we're like at the end it's like Heloise has something.
In the end, which end? Like at the end of
this one scene.
Of that scene.
Yeah.
She has gained. Yeah, I think she has taken.
Yeah.
Her own agency in the relationship.
Yeah, right.
Because earlier when they're on the beach and she first reveals. So I mean, you should watch this movie if you haven't seen it. But basic concept is, a female painter gets hired to paint the portrait of a young isolated woman living on this island, basically. So we get some awesome ocean shots, which is the cinematography. We have to like, that's a whole other thing, but the way that water is shot in this movie and like colored, it's beautiful, right?
It was
astonishing. So and all the colors are beautiful, but yeah, that green and the red together. But Heloise is doesn't want to get married. She doesn't want to be sent off and get married in Milan to some Milanese gentleman.
And she's getting married to him because it was going to be her sister.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Her sister died.
And her sister, it's never like confirmed, but took her own life.
Yeah.
So that to avoid this marriage. So you have this already like very firm stand against this marriage that she's inheriting. Which is very interesting, and like that's why okay, sorry, we have to come back to the show because now we have to go back. But like you meet Heloise 20 minutes into the movie. Did you notice that watching it again? It takes 20 minutes.
It takes
to
a
meet
lot
her.
of time. I definitely noticed that.
And even from the beginning, she's got when she first meets her, she's got her hood up and she's walking behind her, and then Heloise just starts running and she starts running towards the cliffs. And Marianne's like, because she's just heard that what happened to her sister, and so she's freaking out. And then Heloise stops at the edge of the cliffs, and finally she turns around, and we get that shot of her face that reveals her, and it's this like breathless beauty. And she says, "I've been dreaming of doing that my whole life." And Marianne says, "Dying," and she says, "Running."
Yeah,
which is like beautiful. So it's like in the beginning, Heloise is resistant, but I don't think she has that suicidal impulse in her, and I think that's like very interesting too. That she wants to live.
Yeah. If I would guess she's a fire sign.
All right,
also because of the name of the movie.
She's giving Sagittarius.
Yeah, she's for sure.
What's Marianne? What do you think Marianne is? She's like
she's very
Taurian.
She is.
Yeah. I really resonate with Marianne. Being a woman artist, it's just it's so beautiful to see yourself seen in this. Like, in the early scenes when Marianne gets to the house and she's like wet and she dries off and she's just sitting naked by the fire smoking that pipe.
Yes, that was so relatable.
Yes, me too. It's like the most relatable. It's like, oh, I'm so seen. She's got her like canvases drying and she's naked by the fire and she's like smoking her pipe. Yeah.
I love the way she was framing there too, because she's like half naked, but it's not like she's sexualized.
Yes. There's so much beauty and nudity in this movie that isn't sexualized, or I don't know what word to use, because it's sexy sometimes, a lot of the time, but she like that's what I love about what like Céline Sciamma is doing in this movie is like allowing like the whole of the feminine experience.
Yeah.
Like what I love about this movie too is it's in a totally female world. You only see men at the beginning and at the end.
Yeah.
And they just come to like take them on the boat and take them away on the boat. But once you're on the island, you never see any men, and you're in this. It's like your Brazil film school, but you know.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So back to what we were talking about, because your question was about whether they're equality. So in the beginning, Marianne, Heloise's mother hires Marianne to paint Heloise, because Heloise refuses to be painted because she doesn't want to be married off. So she refuses to sit for a portrait. So Marianne's assignment is to go on walks with her and watch her and paint her from memory. She finishes the painting, but she shows it to Heloise. Heloise doesn't like it. And so Marianne destroys it and says, I'll start again. That's when the mom leaves, and she's like, I'll be back in 5 days or whatever.
By the way, I think the mom knew.
Really?
I think so.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah, I think she knew. And it was kind of
She was so mean at the end. She didn't give them a single moment.
I know.
That last moment when they do the hug in the room, and she hugs the mom, and she hugs her, and she just gets that like one moment, and she's like, oh, okay, I have to go. So beautiful. But like that actually was what I was going to reference, because, you know, at the very end, Marianne's running out of the house, and Heloise says, turn and look at me. And she's in her wedding dress, and she turns, and they look at each other one more time. And it recalls the scene that we started off talking about, the scene where Marianne realizes that even though she's been watching Heloise has been watching her too. And there's that it's a co-creation, that like art is made in the middle between them as they meet each other. So for me, I guess I'm not like thinking about it in terms of like their relative power differential, but like how they found a way to like create this art and this love between them.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. But I don't know. What do you think about their power?
No, I was gonna say there is like the imbalance. You know, it's like a flow.
Yeah. Back and forth.
Yeah. And they do find each other in the middle. I think that's better to say than, this is like a female thing, so there isn't any power, and it's different from the male gaze.
No, because I think there's a lot of masculinity in the movie too. Like Marianne has a lot of masculine energy. And then Heloise takes some of it. Like she's really the instigator of their romantic relationship in a way. Heloise, like she's the one who is almost. And I had this little side story that I developed watching this, because I was like, Heloise has been living in a convent, and I was like, she was probably fooling around with girls, like for sure. Like Heloise,
you think so?
I think Heloise has been with women. Marianne has never been with women, but she has been in love, and she's been with a man.
She said that.
Yeah, so
she even had an abortion.
She had an abortion, so it had to have been a man. Yeah. So I think like they both come at it from different experience levels. Like Heloise is much more willing to step into like, you're a beautiful woman, and I want to, be with you. And Marianne is more like seeing the difference between them as like subject and painter, and also like knowing that Heloise is going to be married. And they have kind of like, they don't have like a class difference, but they do have a social difference. Because
for sure.
Marianne is like this unmarried kind of like artist woman. And Heloise is like a lady.
Which is interesting, because you would think that Heloise is more like privileged, but she's more stuck into.
She's more trapped. Yeah. It's true. Yeah. Like Marianne's freedom is very enviable, like in any time period. I feel like, especially that one, but like anyone. Yeah. And we love, what's her name, Sophie, the girl.
No, she was great.
She's the best. Yeah.
I love her as like a comic relief, but also like as a person.
Yeah. She also like, I grew up in, you've lived here now, Houston. Small-mindedness, like it's not true of all of Houston, but like especially like white conservative Houston that I grew up in. It's so radical for me to just see a woman be like, I don't want the baby, and like let's solve that problem, and not like, oh, like I'm a terrible person, what am I gonna do, and like God hates me, or all this stuff. It's just like, once again, women being like, am I gonna be free or not? Like Marianne just says, do you want the baby? And she says, no, I was gonna see to it.
There's
when
no
Madame
like
left.
question about it. They're not questioning her.
And then when they go to the wise women, the witches, those like amazing, that shot of course, like another wonderful detail about this movie is there's almost no music. We only have music.
Yeah, that is crazy.
With the Vivaldi, right? Vivaldi, that's who it is.
Okay.
Yeah, so good. And when the women are singing, and that shot where it just like pans maybe a pan, maybe it's a dolly, down the row of the women as they're singing, and they like they like will start clapping and they start singing.
That was so beautiful. I saved it on my Spotify. It's there if you guys were.
It's a good wondering.
One. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. So when they go there too, and then they go there basically to help Sophie once again see this older woman who knows the ways of the herbs and the ways to, you know, take care of her. Oh, and I love, by the way, the like 18th century abortion techniques of like running up and down the beach.
Oh,
and
yeah,
just, like,
that was amazing. Like,
yeah.
I wonder, because I think Marianne was also the one that like brought that thing.
Yeah.
Like, you have to do it.
Yeah.
You have to keep running.
Yeah, but it was just, like, again, it was just so refreshing. And maybe I'd be curious to know what your perspective is, being not from here, not American originally. And I don't know how it was in Brazil, but like the amount of judgment and fear around a woman's control of her own body, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And so seeing it in this movie was beautiful. And, you know, the shot when Sophie's actually getting the abortion and there's the baby. Right
yes. There. Yeah. What did
Tell me what you
think
think about that?
Okay. Yeah, no, because like,
yeah.
Because I don't know, like for some people, like regretting something, considering a baby. But I think it could be, it's like she's coming together with life again. Like, you know, like she had that choice, but then she's like connecting, you know, to that type of again.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's more what I got. I don't think you can I don't think you could watch that whole movie and then at an hour and a half be like, oh, Céline Sciamma is inserting some judgment now. No, that's not what's happening. And that shot is like, I got something similar, which is like, for me, it was like almost like this all belongs. This is, again, in a women's world. We're in this like small house, this little cottage, and you know, she's got all these kids playing around. She's cooking. The woman who lives there, she's got herbs hung up. She's doing an abortion over here. You know, she's like a healer, and this is like, it's like the full complement of like a woman's craft and gift and like ability is that we can give life. We can also heal the body. We can, you know, and I think in that particular case, make choices about our own bodies, and that it doesn't like negate. Like for me, I loved it because it's almost like Céline Sciamma is saying like, we love babies, you know, like I feel like there's this a narrative about women who are like pro-abortion that like they hate babies and they don't want them, but and I think this movie makes a lot of distinctions between like the conventions of marriage and childhood versus the love between two people, the love of children, like those are two very different things. And I love that she like allows that moment. Like I think I see the same thing as you. Like Sophie loves that baby. She doesn't want one now. She is not in, like she can't have one now. It would ruin her entire life. And make her not free. And but she, and so like to you, what you're saying is like the abortion like brings her back to life and connects her to life. Like she was going to die with that child. It was going to take part of her life.
And it's also like sort of a redemption. She loves babies. She's like, she sees a life in there, but it's like, she's also, I think she's also
and she'll
bound
have a baby
by
one day. You know?
But she's also like, limited by her situation because like she is single, right? I think I got that. So like if she were to have a baby, it's also like the judgment that comes with that.
And that's again the system and the world that she lives in, but she's got to be realistic and yes. So it's very, and I love too like that. Then they go back home, and what did you think of like when they do the drawing or the painting of the abortion?
Oh yeah, that was great. Like the idea that they're creating that image that we don't see it. Like we don't see like how it happened back in the day. Like but they're like creating this image together from their experience.
Yes.
Like, a huge part of what an artist does, like document. But also, I thought it was so interesting that the impulse came from Heloise instead of Marianne, who's the artist.
Yes, that was like, the first inspiration of I thought of Heloise. She was in like the visionary. Like she set up she was like, here's where I'm going to pose. And so she's able to be in the like artwork and also an artist too. So she's both subject and artist.
Yeah, that was great.
Which I think that's interesting actually, thinking about like, because I've, you know, acted and directed, and you've directed, but have you acted as well? Like
I have,
forced into it
Yeah.
from being in film school.
I've been forced to.
But I don't know. I mean, maybe it was different in Brazil,
Yeah.
but like for me at least, like when I was in all these film schools or film class or whatever, all the boys, they would always need like a girl to play like a hot slut, and so of course I had to play it because I was the only girl. It always felt like some of my agency as the artist was being taken from me, like, and that's why I resisted acting for so long, because I didn't want to be the subject. I didn't want to be the subject of men. I didn't want them to impose their ideas on me. I didn't want them to say, oh, she's hot and move this way and do that. And so once I started putting myself in my own artwork, that has healed a lot of it, because now I'm understanding that like you can be both subject and artist, basically. It's like a healing of that idea that if you are subject, you have no agency, you have no control, and which is also maybe like a metaphor for relationships too, right? Like there's power going both ways, basically, you know? Yeah, because Marianne wanted to look away when they were looking at the abortion, and Heloise made her look. Yeah. Remember? Yeah.
No, look, we have to paint this.
We have to see this. We have to paint it. And like Marianne has this she has restrictions. Like in the beginning, the first painting, you know, and Heloise is like, is this how you see me? And Marianne is like, well, there's conventions, there's rules, you know? Like she too, even though she's this independent woman painting, she still wants to be a part of that man's world. And so I have to follow these rules and conventions. And Heloise is the one who's like, no, we're going to paint this abortion on like a back of a piece of wood in front of the fire, you know, and that is art, what they made there.
And she's also saying, you're going to paint me better too.
Yeah, yeah, you're going to paint me better, yeah. Did you notice that some of the shots that she holds for just like too long almost?
Oh, yeah,
I love that.
for sure, yeah. It is in her like style, kind of.
Yeah,
or...
I think it's almost like she holds on the shots long enough to where you're like, okay, I'm bored of this now, and then you're like, okay, I guess I'm gonna be looking at it, so let me look for more, and then you start to notice things, and then she cuts away. Yeah,
that was good.
There's like this whole play happening with, and I think it is a really slow movie, but if you start to like, as this same relationship of like power and co-creation, if you let Céline Sciamma dominate you and just submit yourself to her artistry, you have this wonderful experience, because suddenly, like, I just feel like by the end of the movie, watching it even last night, I like fell into a more contemplative state just in general. You know, I'm like leaning into the frames, wanting to see more out of them, and like going through my life in a slower and more observant way, actually.
Wait, I have two things to say about that, actually, because I will admit that the first time I watched it, maybe I felt like a little bored. But just because, like, I think I watched it the first time when I was like 17. So I was like, now that I'm more mature, I can enjoy better. I think it was one of those cases. That like, you know.
Totally.
Yeah, the best time I watched was definitely yesterday for this.
Okay, great.
So, yeah, that's what I was thinking. And like the rhythm, I think you can enjoy it more when you have that. I don't know, that connection to like. Like, how do I explain this?
No, totally. For me too. I mean, a lot of the movies that I watched when I was in film school in my like early 20s, I could never have even watched in high school. I would have been like, what the fuck? I'm bored, you know? And I think too, like the way that we're raised, especially, I mean, I think like people who watch like French films have a gift and an ability to see the world differently. But most of us were raised on like these videos that just like are 30 seconds long and these super short, intense content. And even like the stuff like Marvel movies, they're all made to like keep a very short attention span where something's always happening, and you know, and so our minds are used to that. And so like I always tell like people who don't want to watch these slower movies, like students and stuff, it's like you actually have to let your brain like settle into a different way of watching before you can even watch this. But I also agree that I think there's a maturity that has to happen in life to like.
So I think because like for you to understand the story, like digest it better.
Yeah. Do you think it's because like you have more to, because almost like in a slow movie where there's that space between images or like those long shots that hold for a really long time, it like is almost an opportunity for you to reflect and bring your own life experience to it.
Maybe,
and so if you have none, you know, like what are you going to do? You're just like, tell me what's going on in the world, you know, but when you're 17, you're just like, I want to learn about what other people, you know, have to say. But as you get older, you're like, oh, that makes me think about this. That, you know, the very last shot of the movie, which we talked about before, and we don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. It's like, I don't know the names of the actresses now.
Oh, that's, what's her name? Adele. She's so hot. Oh, my God. She's so gorgeous. Adele Adele
Okay,
Haenel. I don't know how to say French names. Noémie
or
Marianne is Noémie Merlan, and
okay.
Heloise is Adele Haenel.
Because I was gonna say when Adele's acting was great because there was no cut and she's like crying.
I know.
Like,
I was thinking about that performance.
yeah.
You know what it reminds me of? Lily Gladstone's performance in Certain Women. Do you remember the Certain Women scene we watched in directing class? Yeah. So it's Kelly Reichardt. She's another filmmaker who's very slow. Certain Women. Did you ever watch that movie?
No, I just watched the scene.
It's really good. It's really, really good. And she's interesting too because she's an American filmmaker who has this pace and this patience. She makes these beautiful movies. She made First Cow, which was really good, and that was a story about male friendship, which she does men well, actually. She does women and men well. But so in Certain Women, there's that scene where Kristen Stewart, that's another great gay moment. Why are all the, I mean, but as is like the old tried and true trope of lesbian movies is they always end sad. Certain Women, there's this moment where Kristen Stewart dumps Lily Gladstone, and it's Lily Gladstone in an early role for those fans of Lily Gladstone from Killers of the Flower Moon. She's so good. Ooh, and I really want to see Fancy Dance. She's an amazing actress, and you see it in Certain Women. Kristen Stewart like dumps her, and then she gets in this truck and like drives for like a whole 10-minute shot where she's, you know, that shot where she's like driving and it's just like this close up, and just like the shot in Portrait of a Lady on Fire, like the camera just almost like traps her. And you know what I noticed this time watching it too is, you know how the movie ends with Marianne watching Heloise. Yes.
I was gonna say that because like she's back at this. I don't know if you can say voyeuristic because it's not like
it's not like creepy.
Yeah, it's not.
It's a love
scene.
Yeah,
but like there's a lot of tension there. But she's kind of like powerless. I felt like she can't reach out.
Yeah, and she says she didn't see me.
Yeah, that was so sad. It broke my heart.
I know. It's like, turn around.
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah, it is the last time.
They saw each other. But what a last time. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, so that shot, like that ability to like hold a frame on a person's face for a really long time and just trust the performance and trust as a filmmaker the emotional intensity you built before that moment, so that you know this is going to pay off. You know,
the stories, it's like it's playing in her face, like
the whole story. Yeah, and like the music and
she played before on the piano.
And she I loved it.
The whole roller coaster of what they had, it's like going through her face and you can see it and it's so powerful. And intense. The movie is very intense.
It is very intense. And that's, again, like, I agree when I watched it, the first time I saw it was in a very, I was at a screening in LA. This was in my former life. I was at like a fancy, special agency screening in LA of it.
That is so cool.
I mean, that was my former life, which, yes, it was cool though to see it there. And then COVID happened. And so we like went into lockdown. So it was the last movie I saw. Okay. And it was also like in this, in a kind of like very nice theater that was very dark and like very, like the whole audience was there to see the movie, So I think if I had seen it streaming, like the beginning would have bored me actually. But I was like kind of bought in from the beginning on it. But like it really, at the beginning, you're like, 20 minutes go by before you even meet Heloise. And it is like, it makes you, this intensity is subtle is my point. Like at first you're like, is anything happening? And then suddenly you're like, everything's happening. Yeah, and there's like this, which is,
I noticed the beginning was also before it was very like somber. She's getting to the island. She doesn't and a moment I was like, is this Shutter Island? Because she's like,
Well, have you seen the piano?
Yes.
Yeah. Isn't it like the opening of the piano?
Yeah, kind of, right?
I think it's like, it has to be a direct reference to the opening of the piano.
For sure.
Like the way she's coming in the boat, and there's all the men around her, and she's like, get me away from these men. And then they like leave her on the shore and they're just like, hike that way.
Yeah.
Which is
and then she has a piano that she cares about, and then here
it's her canvas. It's her art.
And she jumps on the ocean to
get it. Exactly.
Like, she builds a character very well because like we get that she's very connected to her art.
That's true. Like very early on, Marianne is introduced beautifully. And the same thing with
Yeah.
Heloise. Like, the character
Yeah.
introductions are just wonderful. Even the mom, like, I love her kind of.
No, yeah, the mom. There was a scene that I cried because, like, and you can even, because like, you're not supposed to cry because it's not the romance, but the mom.
You can cry whenever you want. I don't care.
The mom is like, she's laughing with Marianne.
Yes. Yeah.
And then she says, "Oh my God, you've made me laugh." But Marianne is like, "I did nothing. You were laughing by yourself." And then the mom is like, "No, you're here. That's what matters."
She says it takes two to
to be funny.
To be funny, yeah.
Yeah. So that's beautiful because like it comes back to that thing of like, you know, there's no man around.
To see a movie in which all the women are multidimensional. I mean, you could easily have made that mom character just like an asshole, and she's like, she's gonna get married, like an evil stepmother kind of person. But no, Céline Sciamma was like, no, this woman is complex too. Her daughter needs to have a future.
Yeah.
This woman just lost a daughter, also, you know, and she's alone, presumably, you know, and like that painting of her on the wall when she's like, I came here as a young girl and was, you know, you can feel the story of her own basically like forced sale into a marriage, you know, and how she has swallowed that, and almost like Heloise's resistance she can understand, but having taken the path, it's almost it's too triggering to see in herself what she wishes she could have done, almost, you know. Which I mean, Heloise isn't free in the end either, but is her heart, like, I love that in the painting you see that she still has the book open to the page, that, you know, because it shows like maybe her heart is still free.
And she kept doing it. She kept interfering with the art, and she probably asked for that, right?
Right. Like, so, I was thinking that too. Like, she would have had to have been like, so would you put number 28 on that page? Yeah. So it maybe gave her more agency, like, in her life. Maybe this love story is not just like a tragedy where two people found something really beautiful that could never exist in reality. Maybe it's a story of like people who came together and found something nourishing and beautiful that sustained them for the rest of their lives. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's what the metaphor with Orpheus is about.
Yeah, right? Like the memory, keeping the memory of the person.
Yeah, she says he made the poet's choice and not the lover's.
Yeah, that was so powerful. Like, that's what she was obligated to do as well.
Yeah.
Like, keep the memory.
But that's why at the end when she says, turn around, Heloise is like, turn and see me.
Yeah.
Hold. It was the Orpheus moment.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. It's so good.
Yeah. And then she kept seeing the ghost before.
Yeah. I was thinking that. I was like, I hope Amanda noticed those rule of threes in there. Because she sees it.
All the time.
Yeah, twice. And so you know the third is coming. And then it's the third time it's in real life where she has that wedding dress on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I noticed a lot of threes there. The thing.
Well, yeah, because the three of them, the two girls and Sophie, there were all those wide shots where the three of them were framed in like almost this like, I was wondering about that. Like, does it suggest like a family?
I read tarot.
Okay. Yeah,
so we have the Three of Cups. Is most of the time it shows a triangle because it's like collaboration and like joining other people.
That's what they were. Like, in a way, Sophie was so much a part of their romance because it was like caring for Sophie and helping Sophie and like drawing Sophie together. You know, even the dynamic between the three of them was like a collaboration. Every time Sophie was there, she brought something into their sphere that led to more romance between them. You know, like the abortion. Like, even the first night when they're like in the kitchen and she's drinking that tea, and they're like playing cards or whatever.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
So many just great shots of like looking and seeing.
I saw a lot of those like Agnes Varda shots, as I call them, the half face, like
yes. Oh my God, where they would like their faces would like take up both half of the frame and then they would turn.
You have to put this here so people can see. Yeah,
because it's when they're standing at the cliff and their faces are both lined up, and I love that you call this Agnes Varda shots too.
Yeah, I saw them all the time with her movies.
Yes, like I love that. I go Bergman with that because I think of Persona, but I prefer to think of Agnes Varda.
Oh,
so I'm
interesting.
Do that
I don't know anything about Bergman.
Oh, really? I prefer that you know more about Agnes Varda than Bergman, but Bergman did make some good movies. And Persona is a very like woman movie. Okay. It's two women kind of going crazy together, which I love, you know. But but you're right. Like it's very, especially in the scene where their like necks are like intertwined around each other, and then she like cuts to the other side, and they're intertwined from the other side.
Yeah.
Such an interesting way, and then they like untwine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there was other things too. Oh, the match cut. You remember when? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
At the end of the fire scene
Yeah,
with the women,
they're gonna kiss for the first time.
Woo!
That
Okay,
was,
yeah,
that was really good.
yes. Like, what is it? Match cuts from she's like picking her up by the fire,
Yeah,
and then it match cuts to like her helping her off the cliff.
Yeah, that was so good.
That was
really
inspired.
sexy.
Yeah,
Yes.
like the cut is sexy, and that's a great example too of like how, again, like you said, like Céline Sciamma isn't making the movie sexy because she's sexualizing women's bodies or like showing us. We don't even see any actual sex. I think they just kind of kiss and then we cut, you know. But the sexiness is in the space between them, the tension between them. It's in the cuts. It's in the shots. It's in like the music and the lack of music, the sound of the waves. Like she's using cinema to create sexiness, which is really cool.
It is. And it's so different. It's not like the heteronormative, like penetration, like sexy.
Right? It's like this, like
the rubbing.
Oh yeah. It's like a more like it requires like watchfulness more, like to be attentive to the person that you're with, and
like senses and everything. Which brings me to Hulu.
Okay, great.
It was rated R. And there was, did you see there was like in the beginning there was I don't know how to call it. Is there like a
content warning?
Yeah, a content warning, which was crazy to me.
I was thinking about it being rated R, like.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't make any sense.
It's not Hulu's fault. That's the MPAA. It's because it's gay.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like it shouldn't. It's not porn.
It's not. There's nothing inappropriate about it. At all. Like a little child could see this. Actually, there's not even. Well, there's some tits, but I mean, children should see. They do see tits, but they eat from
crazy.
them.
I didn't know if it was because of the theme, because like abortion doesn't really make sense.
That's just a thing. I mean, that's so messed up. Yeah, the rating system.
It really shouldn't.
Because what happens then is that makes the movie less likely to be distributed and seen. It hurts its earning potential to be an R-rated movie. It actively holds this movie back in America, at least. I don't know about France. So that's just messed up because, there's plenty of movies that are like PG-13 and feature like rapes, you know, just like horrible things, you know. As long as it's heterosexual, it's fine. But as soon as, you know, it's queer, then...
That was very insane. I was not expecting that at all. Like, simply because she chose to do the sexy part so subtle. So yeah, it was a shock to me. For sure.
Yeah. I mean, is that what you were going to say earlier when we were like...
Yes, that was...
Yeah. I think we're almost at the end. I have to go teach now. Okay. So is there anything else that you want to say?
Okay, not really. Just go watch it.
Go watch this movie.
On Fire. Available on Hulu now.
Oh, I have so many notes, but I mean, you know.
I guess we're not gonna have time.
We don't have time. Just watch it.
Yeah.
There's so many beautiful images. I mean, but if we were just to like list the beautiful images, we should just watch the movie again.
Yeah. You know. Like every frame is like a painting.
It is. It's so spectacular. The cinematography, also female cinematographer, Claire Mathon. Also hot. Oh, she shot Atlantics, which is very... did you see that? Maddie Diop's movie? That's really good and also very beautiful. What else did Claire shoot? Oh, Spencer. She shot... Did you see Spencer?
Oh my god, yes. I love Spencer.
Spencer was great. Me too. I loved it. I watched that twice in theaters.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's so
cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. I mean, the cinematography is...
It is insane.
Unreal.
Right? Yeah.
And of course, because, I mean, you could never... If you were directing this movie, you would have had to... I wonder what the collaboration was like between Céline and Claire and the two actresses as well.
Yeah, I did hear that the external shots were... They got that before the interior ones.
Okay.
So Céline had to, you know, put the actors in that position, you know, because he wasn't like...
For each stage of the relationship.
So I wanted to know more about that, like how she did that.
Yeah,
like because it was really good.
I'd like to know a lot about that, especially too, like with the movie being about the collaboration between subject and creator,
yes.
I can't imagine she wasn't collaborative with them.
Yeah, maybe she drew something from what they brought.
Yeah, I'd like to know about that.
Yeah, me too.
Let's get the ladies on the show.
Okay, let's get
this is an
Céline
open invitation. But I mean, I would love to know. But anyway, regardless if we ever get to tell it to their face, we loved this movie.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful movie. And thank you for making it.
Thank you.
And thank anybody for watching this, and go watch Portrait of a Lady on Fire. And thanks, Amanda. Thanks for doing this.
Oh, thank you. No, thank you for inviting me. I was so shocked.
Oh no, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You are awesome, and obviously it was great because you had beautiful things.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I hope it was nice.
I never know like to say if I should say bye or just be like it's over now.
Yeah, I guess you know when you cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.